live meeting and how is actually in the chat. So again, welcome. My name is Keith Jones. I'm so glad that you're here. We have a good one for you today. It's a fix and hold office building by our Bill. He just a rock star, and I'm so excited. But it's just a couple of things. If you don't mind, stay muted, ask questions, use the chat, and we'll be monitoring the chat session. And this is going to be awesome. And then Bill, I know you're excited. I'm excited. So let me go ahead and just go to the next one. We have people from all over. So Bill, if you see my screen. So Bill, if you don't mind coming out, but before we get started, we have folks who've been here before. We have folks who are just this their first time and they really not really sure if they really want to do real estate investing. But today was the day that they was able to get online and to be able to hear what we do. And if you don't mind kind of sharing with us, first who you are and kind of like, why did you get started in real estate investing? What kind of piqued you into that? And I'm gonna stop sharing so that way we can see you as you talk to us.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for all of that introduction. I'm going to do a little reverse here real quick. I'm going to do that one. And then I'm going to bring this one out, which is interesting. Because we're going to have to go on my laptop here shortly. So the short story of it all is, we went into COVID 2020. We already had this thing under contract and we were negotiating it, but that just followed my story. I had no idea how I was going to get there, what I was going to do. My history is back in 2010. We had a debacle. I had no idea what to do. I was previewing to go back to college, and I never did. Going back to college was not really an option later in life. So I had to get something that was going to give me everything I needed. Well, nice little conversation with Scott Rowe one day, and he convinced me that I could actually do a no money down deal with my credit card, buy Renatus, go sell a few programs, and then come back in. Did a lot of wholesaling, did a little bit of wholesaling, a few flips, builder contractor from back in the big day. And then it got real interesting. I never stopped. So one day a friend of mine just told me, hey, you got to go see this property. And I've always had a dozen or so on hand that I could go out and put offers on. And I was actively engaged in finding the next project. And he says, go see this property. He was a real estate broker. He couldn't say anything else. Okay, not bad. Why do I got to go? Do I have to go today? He says, Bill, go see this guy. So I did. And it turns out that this is the property we're on today. And it's just on a referral. I walked in. I liked the building. It was rock solid, needed a lot of work. Generally speaking, we had eight units then. We expanded it to 10 and only had 2 tenants at the time. Well, when you run the numbers, it just barely made the buy signal. We got it at a 24 cap. Current day, we got it down to a 6. So, I'm a little scattered on that because I'm going down memory lane today. It's been a wonderful ride.
Well, speaking of
It
memory
really
lane,
has. It's been a wonderful ride.
I know you're really excited about this one. And so help us out to say, who is Bill? Like, what was Bill doing before real estate investing?
That's a great question. I had been running a very successful technology company back in the day. I still do it, managed services, basically office support for mid to large companies. And that failed miserably along with real estate. And today, in conjunction with, I maintain the technology company. I still do it, mostly commercial work, but I've always had an interest in commercial and how all of that works. Because residential is no problem to me. I'll take this building, blow it up, and build it, no problem. It's simple to me. It's not hard. But, you know, my background is industrial arts education for teaching in college, and I just got this done. It's been amazing.
Wow. So you was in the like the IT field at the beginning. Were you also an investor before you became part of the
Um,
community?
I had done a few investments early on in the 80s. Not like today. There just wasn't enough knowledge to really say, you know, I was an investor back then. Because ever since my younger days of being a toddler in a sandbox with every Tonka toy there ever was on the planet, I always wanted to build something. So, you know, the 80s came around. Um, I bought a small house in Bricktown, New Jersey. Never knew I was going to flip it, and I did, and I made some money. So we didn't call it that back then, but today, um, I do anything that's multi-tenant capable because I'm looking at this, the security and the strategy is to just balance that out. So if you're in a good strategy, you lose one tenant, you're not going to lose the house. I've always had that
Right.
strategy. So, you know, I gave up the building days, went into technology, and never gave up on the dream. And 2012, I right back at it. I said, that's it. I got to pull the trigger.
Wow.
Here I am today. I got three or four properties, short-term rentals. I've got it all in place right now.
You know what, Bill, and I appreciate you sharing that because a lot of people will just assume that you've been doing this ever since what they call knee high to a jumbo, right? But you actually said that you was doing IT, you was as what I would call you was dabbling in real estate. Yes, you did some things, but you didn't feel completely comfortable kind of going forward. You knew that that's where your passion was. Um, you knew where your challenges was, but you knew that you needed to learn more, and you wanted to get around folks who was in action doing it and learning and growing. So again, I appreciate that because a lot of people don't like to share that. They don't like to share, that they they think they know it all and they don't feel comfortable like saying, hey, I need more to understand and to strive, and you just share that
There is
with us. So I appreciate
there is one more piece I'd like to add to that. I've
it.
been a serial entrepreneur ever since my Navy days. I've always had an A game, and I always wondered how do I make that A plus plus? It wasn't until a little bit later in life where I finally figured out how to get that A plus plus game going on. And my deficiency through all my years, and I've done 7 zeros often. I've had millions, I've had nothing. I've had good times, I've had bad times, was financial literacy. That was the
Wow.
biggest piece I needed to learn and learn well. I learned it so well, I did a credit card flip. I won't recommend anyone do that, but to me, it was a personal challenge and I had to take it on. I made some money, everybody got paid, all good at the end of the day. So, on to the next.
Well, you know what? I should appreciate that because, again, being retired military and very successful in the military career, one of the things that I wanted to learn about real estate investing also, and one of my challenges, like you kind of saying, was on the financial side. Not that I was bad with money, but how do I acquire the properties? How do I, pay the debt services? How do I make a profit? There's a lot of those things were just unclear until I started to learn and connected with the group like this. Matter of fact, I just wanted to say, hey, it was really good. It's nice to see you just last weekend at our regional event. And
It
you,
was an
you,
honor to meet you as well.
yeah, you're an awesome rock star. So, hey, so a lot of people are really curious about this property. So I'm gonna go back and share my screen again because a lot of people are like, what property are we talking about? So let me go here and hit share my screen again. And let me know if you can see the screen.
Share screen, good.
All right. So if you don't mind kind of walking us through this property, first of all, where is it, right? Because a lot of people are all over the United States and they like, where is Bill? Like right now, is Bill in Virginia, New York, California? Where is Bill? And then where's this property? How you found it? If you don't mind kind of walking us through there.
That's a great thing because, I went to Trenton State College, Trenton, New Jersey, Ewing, as we call it in Jersey language. And, I never thought in a million years I'd be buying into this town. But, this is in a next town over situation called Hamilton, New Jersey. Very high volume on the street, which you'll get a peek at a little later. And, this was a building that, for some reason, just became instantly attractive to me. When I was told to go see this guy over at this building, the back door there, that's actually the back of the building. And I I'm notorious for not telling anybody who I am, what I'm doing, and I just opened the door, walked in, and made it my home. And, that tactic works real well because the owner just happened to be there, walks out and says, "Who are you?" I says, "I'm Bill Winkler. I'm just a friend of mine told me to come over and take a look at your place, and I'm kind of liking it. And is it for sale?" I didn't tell him I knew it was for sale. I always ask the question to try and get the sardine can and the conversation to open up very freely. And he was open arms. "Yes, matter of fact, I am, blah, blah, blah." We sat down for a good half hour, and asked about a whole bunch of things. I says, "Well, let me put an offer together to you, and let's see what happens." I'm blind on this one. So with that said, I just put my offer together, letter of intent, non-binding document, sent the letter out, parlayed with my broker friend because he had to be involved. Typically, I don't like working with real estate agents. I'd rather knock on a door, take them out to coffee or dinner or something and talk about it. The deal always goes 10 times better that way. So, God bless you agents, but, I'm not an agent fan, and that's how I roll. I just go knock on doors. That's it. And then we
So
put
you
the
have a
offer
strategy.
together and it went well.
So you have a strategy that you like to use, and you felt comfortable from what you had learned, which we will talk about later, of how you was able to be able to walk through. First, you had your personality, right? But then with your personality and the knowledge and everything that you learned, you felt comfortable to be able to walk through the door and to have that conversation. And when the
Yeah.
opportunity arose, you seized on it. So that's awesome. So I'm gonna go to the next picture because you said that's the back. So if you don't mind kind of walking us through this property, first of all, what is it, and as we kind of go through the slides.
This one, top left was, an original, portrait at the time. And if you kind of look a little close there, next to the stairs, you'll see that we have signage. It's quite prominent. We have brickwork that's not so good. And that particular shot was, we had concrete issues, we had sidewalk issues, and we had an abominably big, huge birch tree blocking the way on the highway because that roadway there does, quite a high volume, and exposure for business was an excellent asset for the building. But the building didn't look like Rent Me anymore. The shutters are missing. We got a guy out there trying to get extra signage with a little flag sign. The, parcels on the side of the building, the purple. Who whoever came up with purple as a business color? I don't get that. That's never been a business color from any day I could ever remember. Blue, gray, white, any combination of that is most prominent for most businesses. If you look at signs and things like that, there's a lot of blue, there's a lot of white, there's some gray. There, in some cases, you're going to see some reds for extra attraction. But, that was, real interesting. Then in the back on the right, top right, the back door. You look closely, the place is falling apart. The colors are purple there. I hadn't had a paint job in, oh, I don't know. Jeez, I can't tell you that. But we were missing trim around the flower box arrangements on the sides, which were, enabled the building to sit lower in the ground and also solve water problems and drainage. So the overall design was fairly good, and, I saw, wow, this building could be really attractive. Then the bottom left We have signage down there, and you'll see a brick pod there. The shutters are missing. The building looks, gee, help me. It doesn't say rent me, it says help me. So we did. We took that and addressed that. On the right
So that's
bottom, I'm sorry.
go ahead, Bill. Go ahead.
The right bottom is here's this deck box thing that I had done some discovery on. You'll see the plywood, rare plywood panel there. I had ripped that off to see what redesigning it would be, and I couldn't imagine that window, which in office space and commercial worlds is a very interesting asset, both for visual and function, because inside everybody in their office wants to have a window. Well, I knew that. And my quest was, could I remove that? Well, I didn't get as far as I'd like to on it, but yes, some of it could get removed. And this is actually very nostalgic for me. Thank you for doing such an awesome job on the slides. That's a big thing. Thank you much.
Okay, well, that's just a community work. And one of the things people were probably asking themselves is, so you saw this property, you walked in, you saw that it needed some help, because that's what you said, hey, it doesn't sound like people should be renting there. So why did the seller want to sell to you? What was going through the seller? How did you have that conversation for them to work with you?
That is a great question. Um, see, and I have to do it in two steps. First of all, my strategy is to go into open markets, find 5 or 6 or 7, and on weekends, in the old days, go out and just shake hands. I won't tell them what I was doing, anything. Hey, what about that property? What about this? Can I find the owner for this one? Can I do this? Can I do that? And that's always been it. And over the years, I've learned that I've become an acquisition specialist. I can acquire just about anything, within reason. I mean, I got a long way to go, but um, I just knew this guy was done. He was actually done. Didn't want anything to do with it anymore. Had already made his money. The property had been in the family for eons, and he had maintained it after his father had passed away some years ago, whom was an architect at the time. I don't get that purple in architect. I just don't get that, but that's pretty funny to me. And then we just started talking. That's been my
Wow.
style for a very long time and continues to work today. I find my
So
market, try and get the off market type of arrangement, and look for sellers that have a motivation. Hey, I'm done. And my forte has become fix and hold, because that's where you get the best value long term. And when we talk about the numbers later, I'll share that with you.
Well, I sure do appreciate that, because I understand how so you build relationships, and so you identify, you build a relationship, and then you solve people's problems, because you realize the building had a problem, and then when you actually talk to the owner pretty much said he has a problem, and you went there to solve it. So that's awesome. So we got a few more slides, so we're gonna walk through, because just to remind everybody, you can ask questions in the chat. And right now, as we're kind of walking through the properties, the pictures, these are the before, and then Bill has two cameras up, and Bill's going to actually walk us through within that time frame that we have. So we'll go ahead and get moving there, Bill.
Okay.
People are saying this is awesome. So you found a diamond in the rough. So we still have some more pictures on the outside here.
Okay, so we're gonna do a little walk around then. Let me go ahead and
Well, you still got a
reverse
couple
my.
more. Yes. Yeah, you
What's
still
that?
got a couple more. You still got a couple more pictures of before, so that way
Okay, that's fine.
you'll see that.
That's that's interesting stuff right there. The blind side on top left, the big tree crown on the right side. We were successful in actually cutting that down. The foliage that was in there was way overgrown on the left. It no longer exists today. It's gone. It's all gone. Quite a bit of effort in that. Um, Picture on the right, top right. That one's interesting. It is removed at the current day, but discovered that I could take and just cut that back and recover that window. We added trim bottom left to where it was supposed to be. Was supposed to be purple top and bottom. In theory and design, a lot of this stuff actually got removed. And then bottom right, um, general picture, we had lots of windows down there. Uh, had to do a little recovery on some of the siding. The drainage was not quite there. So that's what's all going on with that.
So we have more outside pictures.
Mhm. Yep, this is looking down the left side because we were adjacent to a fully operational financial services company at the time. And as we were doing our upgrades and whatnot, we had the state taking office over there. So this thing is getting better and better and better. We have location, we have associated businesses that have established themselves there, been there for a while. That was a pretty good thing. And that was a really nice parking lot because that was my goal, to make it that nice. They had a nice building, well kept. We didn't look good on top right as we did today on that. Air conditioners got removed. It was too much AC, had a failed AC unit on the inside as a primary. Door window units are a definite clue. Beware, do more homework, do more due diligence when you see window units going on. You want to know what you're walking into and then see if it's going to fit at all. Bottom left is just a good screen, same thing. AC unit popping out of the wall. I never got that, but I get it now. And then the bottom right, massive overgrowth on the trees. They just weren't maintained that well. And I guess if I were a tree, I'd look like that too after 40 or 50 years. So I can't blame the tree, but it didn't do us any good at all. They came down. Top left, that purple, something about that purple, it just doesn't cut it. It wasn't working out real good. It didn't look, attractive. I didn't mind the design, but that color, it killed me. The porch again on the top right, we no longer need the AC unit that you see on the center above, and we were able to just strip this down to a point where it looked like it has a function. It actually doesn't, but it looks like it's functional. So I could not remove it because of the way the structure was. I had a steel beam inside of that doing support, and it was also supporting the rest of the building. Strange, but I had to leave it. Bottom left, all that purple stuff was in bad shape and falling off. Perfect picture for that. Here's some of the red remnants on the bottom right. You can see it hadn't been cleaned in a while. Some of the purple trim, which was basically a 5/4 and 2x materials as a wraparound. We decided to do that a little differently. Top left, we started to take that little porch, we're recovering the window, top right. Bottom left, you can still see that huge, enormous birch tree on the left. So that didn't come out till a little bit later. And now we're starting to get all the preliminary stuff so the guys can come in, paint, and restore that that trim that was going on the block retainer walls with that. So that was quite a learning experience. I've never seen anything built quite like that. But if you looked at it while it was opened up, you saw that the guy was pretty clever the way it got done. So there's 3 additions to this building, as you might figure out.
Well, I tell you right now, Bill, the way you kind of talking through this, I can see where you saw it in the sense of it's a nice area, it's in a prime area, but it didn't look like it was in a prime area. And you are definitely identifying all the areas where it could have been improved. So yeah, this is
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, and it is Trenton, Ewing, Mercerville. Mercerville's always been with the community college. Um, Hamilton, a place called Five Points. 5 Points has been infamous ever since I can remember, even in my college days. Oh, just go down to 5 Points in my college days. And today you say 5 Points, everybody knows where it is. Oh, right next to the firehouse. Oh, that's a nice place. I got that from everybody.
Wow,
Oh, it was a
that's awesome.
blessing in disguise too. And then the picture on the left um, complements itself to that to that area because you couldn't see the sign. Well, you only see like six spaces there if you look closely, and then a nice
Yeah,
long sign for maybe building name sign. Well, that was covered up so much with overgrowth that it didn't really stand out and say, I'm an office building. Well, all those trees got removed. The directory. Imagine going to a movie theater and seeing a directory like that in today's world. I don't think you'd go see the movie because the building wouldn't know how to show it. And that display got taken down. It was quite historic. And we did other things to complement that as well on the interior. I was nervous as all get out. And this shows as we're moving along in our progress fairly well. You'll see new doors, the door systems, and the organization on the building was not all there. I had some Lawan doors. I had some 6 panel doors. I had 2 locks. I had this and I had that. There was no consistency. There was no community. There was no stay now. The lighting system in the left side was all redone. We ripped the entire ceiling down and put low voltage lighting in LEDs, which we can talk about mechanics and how do you make more money on your money after the fact you bought it. The flooring on the right side was the focus with that, not so much the doorways, which we ended up taking several out, rearranging offices, making some larger, some smaller, range from, I think it's 275 to 800 square feet per offices now. Um, I can't imagine a floor looking like that. And it was vinyl. I'm doing one of these things, you know. It was vinyl. It was not asbestos. We did not think of that because they were 12-inch squares. Now, here's a little tip for asbestos people. If they're 9 or 10-inch squares, they are most likely to be asbestos. So we got away with just a couple of square feet of asbestos removal. We were successfully undoing it on our own because it was so little. But that all got redone at a later time. And there's a great example of how much care got paid to the doors. Ugh, I didn't sit well with that at all. That door came out. Threw a tenant out. This is after we're in. This guy was a doctor, didn't want to pay his bill. I don't know, something about that. And we're haggling. And I took a soft touch. The guy wanted another suite up above. He saw an opportunity to open his office up. Well, he never paid his bill. The lease, the lease and legal prior was horrible. The management prior to us, non-existent. If they didn't pay their bill, then the owner would just kind of like say, "Oh well, no, 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 no," and we ended up throwing this guy out.
so I can definitely see where, if a clientele was coming in the way, the way it was,
Hmm.
yeah, I could,
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
It's how
I
you
mean, it's
present it.
just,
Yeah,
didn't
it's
go
how you,
well.
yeah, it wasn't taken care of. And it seems like you went in, you took care of it because you knew the area,
Mhm,
and you
mhm.
wanted to bring it back to the name that you used to know as you was growing up. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that and more current day, modernizing it. We did end up ripping that bathroom, which made no sense. No sense at all. It was just horrible. Uh, and then it's not that it was an unwelcome thing. That's the same room where in the beginning we were stuck. We were going to go ahead and do an upgrade on the room. Just that the color schemes are bad. The lighting is all now starting to take place with the very high efficiency lighting. I mean, we had a $700 electric bill the first month because the lighting was so bad. Managed
Wow.
to take that down to I just paid the bill, $250 a month now. We're making lots of money on the upgrade. We really are. And that goes into your NOI and what you gas in the car, food on the table thing, which is nice. Floor plan, very interesting. First floor, I believe is on the left. I can't see that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, that is correct. On the first floor on the left, um, top left, that office space originally was one office. It's now two. When COVID hit, the biggest market change that took place is I was watching 100,000 square feet, 50,000 square feet office buildings that were Class A, top shelf buildings, all fold. They went into auction. Another story for another day. But that tells me that we were good to go on this. This one is really going to work out because has everybody started to work from home and a major shift in the way we do business today was taking place. This told us that we needed to finish this thing. And we created another few offices in there. The bottom left on the first floor, we opened up and closed a little bit there. You'll see that's an actual picture. We didn't have amenities in the building. The entire building got retrofitted for hardwire as well as Wi-Fi, so that it became a community amenity. That to me was has paid big dividends, and it actually created some community loyalty with our tenants that we have now. We call them residents and treat them
Wow.
very well and pride ourselves in managing that. So that worked out great. The lower level was very troublesome. On the right side, the top right of the right side of the floor plan was so cut up, and it shows partitions, it shows everything. Well, it turned out the structure had enough steel in it that we could remove those little walls that are there and create a 700 square foot office space. 500 to 1,000 square feet is a norm nowadays for the financial um, mom and pop shops, some small attorneys that don't want to have much ambition of growing their firm much, which is rare. They like that. I have a massage parlor in here, believe it or not. That's, these are all good stories. Could take a long time, but we have a really nice mix of people on this. Then on the left side, you'll see a blue highlight and two studios there. Two that turned out that we had a church service come to us and say we'd like to rent your space. That went into an 800 square foot space combined. So the proof is in the pudding. What do the tenants want? What do the residents want? What do the people want? We were able to deliver. The same thing for the bottom corner in there. where towards the front of the building, which is the little jut out there. Um, that entire space for half the building was turned into one office space.
Wow. I can tell you right
Eh,
now, Bill, people are saying that's a big difference that you did. Matter of fact, what was really interesting is how, if people were tuning in, how you found the property, how you understand, by learning, and plus your strategy and putting the knowledge together. And then you made something that was really interesting, that when COVID was happening, people were going home, but people needed to
Yes,
work, and that space was getting too tight. So you said, you know what? The big offices are closing, but if I can create smaller office where people can have the amenities, like you said, as if they was at home, but they are away so they can actually conduct business, you saw an opportunity when everybody else was kind of fading away. That is huge. And you didn't
it did
learn it.
work out that way too.
Yeah.
We had option of seller financing on two buildings at the same time. We were operating this one, barely making our monthly holding debt service number. Fortunately, resources were good. And we didn't have to do a huge down payment or anything like that. So we were able to hold our cash and do this property. I mean, Chad Basic is my partner. He's also an ex-combo holder in education systems that I value a lot, and where I do my networking.
Well, speaking of that, we because I'm watching the time. So the next slide. Thank you for sharing the information, because I like how you were saying how you knew some things, but then you needed to up your level of knowledge. So I do have a slide on that, but I also want you to get ready to walk around, so that way we can stay on time, because I know people want to see how things are. So as you kind of moving around from our conversation, you talked about the knowledge, and there's a whole list of things that's there, and we don't have to go through every single one of them, but I just like how you shared, that you took bits and pieces of information, you put it together, but you was able to do it in all one location. Matter of fact, for the folks who are trying to figure out, well, how did Bill learn all of this, there's a meeting right after this. You want to ask the person who invited you to this meeting, and they will get you into that meeting, which is right after this meeting. It's a different Zoom link, so you do want to go ahead and do that, so that way we can get started on time. But and again, just your knowledge, because I'm just looking through your list of things, and man, that's a lot of information. But it seemed like it was definitely doable, because it created what you wanted and what you're about to show us as you walk through. So go ahead
That
and walk through the property.
that
I'm gonna
is
start.
that fell, all those topics, every one of them fell into financial literacy at the time, and it was a severe deficit in my ability to grow and break that glass ceiling and get my A++ came on. Every one of those topics was critical to know in depth, and every piece of it has allowed me to do just about anything I want to do today. I mean, that's
So,
another day, but that's quite a bit of stuff.
but I like that. But so, in other words, you've been equipped mentally to get your level of knowledge of your literacy up. So
Correct.
that way now you can walk in
Correct.
more confident to be able to work deals, not to you actually. Somebody came off mute. But you actually build your confidence level up, because now you know a place where you can get this information. You learn, you within a community of folks supporting you and helping you, but you also now feel confident that you can help somebody out of a situation that they may
Yeah.
be in, like the
Yeah.
current property that you're right now. So if you don't mind showing us, because I know people are like eager to, like, they saw the before, now they want to see, like, where is it in a current state right now. So let me stop sharing, so you can show your camera.
All righty, let's do a little walk around here. This is kind of fun. Let's see. Now you should be, let's see, how do I turn the camera around? Um, let's see here. Let's do that. Uh,
Yep.
there we go. This is my pride and joy. This is our conference room. And I'm purposely playing the TV, but it got to be a little too much for me to link up some people that I really want this particular room. And I'm gonna do probably outside in as we walk through and be kind of quick. Notice, notice the amenities has the lighting and as well as the internet capability when you're looking for wall jacks, and we do Wi-Fi to the building. And as I walk towards the front, right, I gotta unlock this. We had redone most everything here. And you can see a little peek of the front. It looks way better. So we'll do the outside first, and I'll come in the back door and give you a show that way. As you can tell, landscaping is up to speed. That big monster tree, as much as I love birchwood, that didn't cut it. You can see some of the trim was done over and it's now brown. The brick in the front, removed. We did a nice little patch. We had a nice mason, had some great ideas. The sidewalk was wavy up and down all over the place. They didn't have to remove it. That was interesting. I watched this guy come out with a concrete pump and this little device, and he was able to level this out so it was acceptable. It settled a little bit, but it's way better than it was. Going around the backside over here, I'm not going to go too deep on that, but there's the prominent building that was on the left. We're modeling that because this place is well kept. Well, it brings a tear to my eye that we recovered this building and it looks great. We got a little bit of signage in the back. Here's the parking lot to the left, according to the pictures. I'm not going to go down this way, but we have all new AC units. Some paint, some recovery on some stuff. It was interesting. Again, my is an enormously talented industrial electrician, not to mention tradesperson and a master carpenter too. If he heard me say that, he'd have a few words with me, and that's cool. I'm busting his chops, right? That's okay.
Hey, you know what, Bill? There was a couple of questions in here. Like, first of all, people said you definitely had vision, right? And then Jason was asking, how did you market to get your, the folks in your office spaces? I see you had signage there, but go ahead.
Right. We got signage and marketing. Marketing was always something I'm showing the street, and during the week, Monday through Friday, man, this place gets all the marketing it needs. As long as you got proper signage, as one of our residents, marketing was a huge challenge. It was an enormous challenge. How did we get that done? COVID, everything, shut down. Getting the attorneys to do anything, right? To do anything was abominable. They couldn't do it. Not they didn't want to, they couldn't do it. It took us to July of that year just for them to come up with a way that they could close it. And they did. By that time, it was wonderful. I was like, okay, we were doing real good. Here's that little cutoff place that I see. Remember, this thing looks so much better, right? Anybody needs space here? This place is looking really good nowadays, right?
Well, I tell you what, that's what people are saying, Bill. People are saying, wow, it looks like a brand new building. And then because you are attracting, professionals to your building, you model that way because you said you had another building next to you. So you complement each other. And
yes,
the driveways looks really nice, safe, for people to come in. It's clean. I really like what you did there, and that's what people are saying in the chat too. It's like you definitely did an awesome job on this one, and they
yeah.
love the color.
And this is actually a nice shot right now. And keep in mind, this drive parking lot area was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. We did get lucky though. I found the guy to do it for almost nothing. A little seal
But
coat and some lines,
Bill,
and we're good.
we know we call that relationship, right? So you build relationship also, because somebody was asking, how long did it take you, build your literacy? As you can continue walking through, but if that person asked, Bill said he's still learning, right? So he learned, but he's still learning, and he's improving every time. So every deal he
Oh
does, every
God, yeah,
interaction he does, he's
yeah,
still learning.
yeah, yeah. That one's rough. I mean, I've been Builder Bill since I was a kid. And in high school, they used to call me Carpenter Bill. I never understood that, but they were right. So
So, Bill, can you walk us in and see one of the, because we're getting short on time. And I know people want to, talk about the numbers. And if you don't mind kind of like showing one of the spaces, that would be awesome. But I like
absolutely,
how I can see the lighting.
absolutely.
It's awesome.
Right. And you can see that, according to the staircases, we got a little tile, little this, little that. I'm going to show you one of the restrooms and one of the spaces where we ended up. And again, we did do our own Wi-Fi, installed it mechanically. That's one of my fortes. And here's one of our, notice the light went on
Oh, wow.
all by itself. That's just one.
So
I'm going
you
to go
had a
into
little
the
fun.
men's room now. All I'm going to do is open the door,
Wow. So you
and that's
say
it.
now because you upgraded, like you said earlier, you upgraded
Yeah, they
the light,
were they were disgusting. They were,
right? And so you also save
we
money
had
too.
to bring a little bit of stuff up the code, had to add some access ways, but the lighting style itself cost us $8 a unit, and we saved, I can't tell you how many thousands so far. We made money on that. We
That's
really,
awesome.
really made money on that. And then one of the units that we have now that is going to, I'm coming back in the other exit, is one of a church group. I never thought prominence and addressing is a good example. I'll give Dave a little advertisement here.
Oh,
He's
wow,
come to,
that's awesome.
right? We give them the signage, prominence, ownership, install all kinds of neat things. Here's one that's all done now. I do believe I have a tenant for it now. Not sure. We didn't sign yet, but it's getting a fair amount of attention. And again, Wi-Fi and high grade lighting everywhere. Okay.
Yeah, people are saying it's amazing, Bill. They also saying, it feels like an office.
We did not have that before. We had a cluster mess, to be polite about it. Everything
Wow.
was filthy. Nothing was in order. Nothing
Look at
about it was in order. All the doors, all the trim, right? The community of like-minded, the color schemes, blue, white, and gray. Um, Blue is just as good as gray, but commercially speaking, blue is a very promising business number. So that's where we're at with
yeah,
that. And we didn't
yeah,
have a
people.
mailbox. Believe it or not, the building did not have a mailbox.
Wow. Attention to details, huh?
Mm, yeah, I had I I had fun doing it. I really did.
Well,
Lots
I
of
tell
fun
you,
doing it.
it sounds like you have fun. It sounds like you was able to use some of your own skill sets, with the IT part. And so as we're starting to get ready for the close, I know people are really curious about, okay, Bill, that's awesome. And how you created, you had vision and you was able to take what you saw and create what you have now. And so how many units are in that building? I mean, how many spaces? I know we looked at the
We
floor plan.
we started out with a good solid six. Um, Three were rented. We threw one out. We had an attorney in here that started to bully us, and we threw them out too. And we had a financial guy. So the number initially was six, and then I'm sorry, eight. We went down to six, resized, and then found out, well, we could do better if we just reconfigure a little bit. And we're up to 10. according to
Wow.
market demand. We built according to market demand.
So can you see my screen? Can you see my screen now? Because I know people are curious about the numbers. I want to make sure that's what I'm sharing.
What's that?
You about to show your numbers.
Oh, the numbers? How,
Yeah,
how,
can
how,
you
how much time do we have?
about 4 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. If anyone wants to see those numbers, I would be more than happy to
I
do
got it.
so. Do
I
more
have it right
deals
here.
on Tuesday nights.
I have the numbers right in front of me. Can you see
Okay,
my screen?
go for it. Go for it. I
Can you see
mean,
it?
that's fine. All right. The building originally started out at 450,000, and a short story to make it in 30 seconds or less. Made an offer. COVID comes in. I came in at 350. I justified my pricing. I said, this is not going to work. Here's why. And had the face to face with him. Again, circumventing or just uh, keeping the real estate agency out of it per se, and then go one-on-one with the seller, which is priceless. Was able to turn around, and we had to ride COVID out. Then the seller wanted to do a lease back, wanted to keep one of the spaces. Oh, we came up with a number. That was another 25 off. And then, COVID's going into place. And listen, the driveway is far worse than we imagined on the first way. Can you do something with that? And he took another 25 off. I look over my shoulder to a friend of mine because it's July. Closing is next week. I still don't have this thing funded. Seller financing in place, reached over to a friend of mine, says, hey, what do you think? I got this thing. I really want to do this. Everything about it is perfect. And he just hands me 50 grand. So investor financing's in there, the seller financing for 250. That's our end of note. The improvements that we actually put in, we thought we could get away with 50,000, upgrade, refresh, and just get it rented. No, not really. And it just got a little snowballed out of control, but it made sense. It wasn't that we didn't think it through carefully. We just opted to do that. It's not like it's a flip. We want to hold this thing, and we need to get it where it is today. The repeat, the rent collection is really up there annually. The debt service is accurate. We actually have a net operating income right now of $134,000 a year with a 250 note. Several things: seller financing, successful negotiations, uh, using the real-time numbers and what the costs were, how to address and close the deal, and I totally avoided the banks. Several strategies went into this thing, and today the initial appraised value, that's now 2 years old, was correct. Recent appraisal and an offer to buy was $785,000.
Wow.
So we elected not to sell.
Wow.
We can HELOC repeatedly using creative financing to fund other deals now. 3 or 4 more deals like this, and we'll be real close to being our own bank, and that's one of our goals.
Wow, that is awesome. I mean, the vision, the knowledge you put together, relationships that you build, just all the pieces that came together with circumstances, things happen, life happened, COVID happened, but you was able to use that towards your advantage to be able to help
Yeah,
somebody who appreciated you helping. Matter of fact, you said they wanted to rent out a place in the place that they used to own. Well, but it's just really
yeah,
awesome how all that came
yeah,
together and created that
yeah,
win-win
yeah,
situation.
yeah,
I
yeah.
tell
I
you what,
mean,
that
all
was awesome.
good, all good. If I'm stuck, I got plenty of people, advisors, mentors, and authoritative people to get unstuck in a hurry.
Well, I tell you what, Bill, I do appreciate you taking time. Everybody's saying, hey, this was awesome. Congratulations to you. Some unbelievable investment. Like, you took a chance on this. Again, your confidence level was high based on not just your personality, but that you said you had to increase your financial literacy. So you plugged in, you communicated with folks, and you just took action. And thank you for taking your time out. I know you're a busy person, and it looked like we're out of time. And so, any parting words before we leave right now?
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor to present to everyone and share my story.
Well, you know what, Bill? Thank you. Thank you for everybody who's came on. Thank you, Scott Buckles, Yaz, Emeritus, for allowing us to be able to showcase this, using this platform to show that people actually are doing real estate investing in today's time. And yes, you can too. You just have to take some steps. So again, thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. And if you haven't reached out to the person who invited you to this meeting, because we have this every Saturday, we also have a meeting right after this. So again, have a great weekend. Talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.